All right. Hello and welcome back. Today we're tackling a huge topic, biology. And I mean, this isn't just some class you had to take in high school, right? This is the science of life itself. I mean, think about it. If it breathes, if it grows, if it moves, it's all part of this incredible thing called biology. So let's just dive right in. What we're going to do is build a kind of mental map, a way for you to navigate this absolutely massive field. And that's such a perfect way to put it. It frames biologists as the storytellers of our world, right? They're the ones chronicling this epic, ongoing tale of life on Earth. I mean, everything from the tiniest invisible microbe all the way up to the blue whale. It's a massive responsibility for sure, but man, what an adventure. At its core, the word itself gives the whole game away. It's just this simple, super elegant combination from ancient Greek. You've got bio, which means life, and logos, which means study. So, the study of life. That's it. Simple, right? But so powerful. And it covers, well, literally everything that's alive. Okay, so that brings up a pretty big question, doesn't it? If your topic is everything alive, where in the world do you even begin? I mean, how do you even start to organize all that without just getting totally lost? Well, that's the big challenge, and that's exactly what we're going to break down right here. Okay, so the very first step in telling any story is getting to know your characters. And for biology, that journey starts with something really basic, just watching, and then giving things a name. And what's really wild to me here is the timeline. I mean, humans have been observing animals and plants since forever, right? It was literally a matter of life and death. But the actual, formal science that we call biology, that only got its official name in 1736. It was a Swedish scientist, Carl Linnaeus, who finally coined the term. So to deal with this just immense variety of life, biologists had to come up with a system. They needed to sort everything into some big buckets, And they started with three huge fundamental divisions. This is like the first broadest layer of how we organize everything. So here it is, the first big split. To even begin to make sense of all of life, scientists basically chop it up into three giant kingdoms. You've got plants, you've got animals, and then you've got that whole invisible microscopic world. First up, you've got botany. This is the green kingdom, the study of all things plants. And when we call them the lungs of our planet, that's not just some nice poetic saying. It is literally true. The oxygen you're breathing in right this second, think a plant. All right, next up is zoology. This is the animal kingdom, and yeah, that includes us. This field covers every animal you can possibly think of. We're talking everything from the smallest little mouse all the way up to the gigantic blue whale, which is, by the way, the largest animal to have ever lived on Earth. Crazy. And last but not least, we have the invisible kingdom, microbiology. This is the super high-stakes world of studying stuff we can't even see. Viruses, bacteria, fungi. They might be tiny, but their impact, it's absolutely massive. And get this for a fun fact. The bacteria living in and on your body outnumber your own cells by about 10 to 1. Okay, so we've got our three big kingdoms. Now, let's do something fun. Let's just grab one single organism and start zooming in. Because to really understand how a living thing works, how this machine operates, you've got to take it apart and see how it's built, piece by piece. So we're going to start on the outside. This is called morphology. Think of it as studying the outer shell. It's all about the external shape, the form, the features. Basically, it's everything you can see just by looking at something. Okay, from there, we dive one layer deeper. And now we're talking about anatomy. This is like cracking open the machine and looking at the internal blueprint. It's the study of all the structures inside the body, the organs, the bones, all the systems that make the whole thing run. But that just leads to the next question, doesn't it? Okay, so we see the organs, we see the bones. But what are those things made of? We've got to zoom in even more. And that's where histology comes in. A great way to think about this is like studying the fabric of life. This is where you literally put a piece of an organ under a microscope and see how all the different tissues, like muscle tissue or nerve tissue, are all woven together. All right, so let's recap. We've gone from the whole organism down to its organs and then down to the tissues that make up those organs. But can we go even smaller? Is there a fundamental building block at the bottom of it all? Oh yeah, there is. And here we are, the bottom floor, the base level. This is cell biology. This takes us right into the engine room of life, the cell. It's the fundamental unit of everything that's alive. And this field is all about figuring out how it works, from its protective outer layer to all the tiny little power plants and factories running inside. Okay, so we've completely taken this thing apart, right? We've gone from the outside all the way down to the cellular engine room. But now we need to know how all those parts actually work together. That's the job of physiology. It's basically the operations manual. It's the science that explains how all these individual pieces function and communicate to make a living, breathing creature. All right, now that we've seen how a living thing is built and how it runs, let's pull the camera back out. We're going to zoom out and look at how biologists specialize to study the really big picture stuff, like how life interacts with its environment, with other living things, and yeah, even with us. So, meet the specialized squads. First up, you've got your librarians, the taxonomists, who have the massive job of classifying and naming every single living thing. Then you've got the shield, immunology, which studies the amazing ways our bodies fight off invaders. You've got the bug specialists in entomology, the social network experts in sociobiology who look at group behavior. Then there are the innovators in biotechnology who are using biology to create new technologies, and of course, the medicine makers in pharmacology, figuring out how drugs and chemicals affect living systems. Each one is its own massive, super important world. All right, for our last stop on this tour, we're going to look at the branches of biology that tie everything together, the past, the present, and the future. These are the fields that are reading the ancient history books and decoding the very source code of life itself. So you've got paleontology. Think of this as biology's history department. They study the fossil record to piece together the story of life from long, long ago. And it breaks down pretty simply. Studying ancient plant fossils, that's paleobotany. Digging up dinosaur bones and other animal fossils, that's paleozoology. And that brings us to two of the most mind-blowing fields. First, embryology. This is literally the origin stories of an individual. It tracks that unbelievable journey from a single tiny cell all the way to a complex, fully formed organism. And then there's genetics. This is the study of the code of life, the DNA, the instruction manual that builds and runs everything and passes that information down through generations. So there you have it. That's our grand tour. From those three massive kingdoms all the way down to the string of DNA inside a single cell, biology gives us this incredible toolkit to understand life at every possible scale. It's the blueprint, it's the history, and it's the owner's manual for every living thing on this planet. So the real question now is, what part of this amazing story are you going to use it to understand?